Hi all, Professor Ngisa here, and this video please reach out to and distribute it as much as you can throughout your network from my YouTube channel, Global underscore policy, Global policy, so Global underscore policy, and this is to discuss actually the fire tragedy that we are witnessing in California. Every single year during the summer, during the winter, we have this tragedy, mostly in California. Extreme weather in California, we're going to discuss global warming and so on and so forth, but we have an issue at hand that perhaps we can find remedy by not thinking too far into a long-term project, but immediately what we can do to mitigate these tragedies in California almost every winter. Today, so far, they're talking about 24 casualties, and these are human casualties. Pets and every other thing is not discussed. But can that be prevented? Perhaps no, but it can be mitigated. In fact, I think if we make much effort, we can prevent it. We can prevent for this kind of widespread devastation. We're talking about California here, which, if it stands alone, is the sixth largest economy in the world, period. California has about 4 trillion GDP, the largest in the United States of America, which generally is about 27 trillion. So why do I mention California being rich? What's the relation of California being rich and the fire devastating Malibu and the other part of the country, the states? Well, this is a solution that perhaps engineers can put their head together and looked at, perhaps can design something that I believe will help a great deal. California, it happened to be not a landlocked state, but rather the length of California, the whole length of California, is on the Pacific coast. So the Pacific Northwest is Washington State and California. Well, so can perhaps design some pipeline, for lack of a better word, call it pipeline, or some digs with the pipes, big pipes, that can drain water from the Pacific Ocean, because a salinated water, non-salinated water, doesn't matter to extinguish fire. We have this old saying in Africa that to extinguish fire, you don't need clean water. So that water throughout the states, from the top northern part to the southern part of the state, can have trenches or pipes that can come from the Pacific Ocean throughout the state, crossing the states, if necessary, and also some water from the Cap over there in Texas, we call that again Canada. By the way, speaking of Canada, don't we have the Keystone Pipeline from Canada to the Gulf Coast? So from northern part of the United States, across the north, or across the United States, from the north to the south, we got a pipe. But this pipe is to actually bring crude oil, so to make money. We're quick to do that. It's okay to do that, right? But to save lives, those lives that generate income, to make the Keystone Pipeline to start with, we're not making much effort. Why? Every year we're still going to talk about this. An insurance company getting richer, and what you call them again, medical facilities getting richer, and pharmaceutical industry getting richer, and mortuaries getting richer, so funeral homes getting richer, because Malibu houses are $1 million houses, right? Of course, they're all insured because they're owned by rich people who are great lawyers who know how to go about things. So every year we rebuild these mansions or estates only for them to burn down or to be flooded the following year, because that's what happened. The extreme weather in California, either is the big flood, not even hurricane, because hurricane doesn't get that far in California, but there's a flood in California. When it rains, it pours in California. When it burns, how you say this, is Armageddon. Okay, so we have only one state who go through this much extreme. The Gulf states, yes, they have this flood during hurricane and so on and so forth, which is never an issue that can be discussed by way of a rebuilding, rethinking this building system, because I don't see why they build houses over there with shed instead of solid bricks. Anyway, that's a different discussion. But for the moment, I think we can just have a solution to the issue of California one time and for all. The irrigation system existed before in California, right? For the plantation, for the farmings and so on and so forth. But those were water that were taken to irrigate plantation, so therefore it couldn't be salinated water. So that caused also the basin and maybe the lakes to dry out. So that was not well thought for the irrigation system that was implemented then. But this one I'm suggesting is from the salinated water from the Pacific Ocean to be drained, not drained actually, but to be flown into the states, and design a sprinkler system when there's a heat at certain degree or there's a smoke at certain intensity, then the sprinkler system automatically just activates a zone. I believe we have that design. We started now, even if we finish in 10 years, which, by the way, like I mentioned earlier, and that's why I mentioned California being rich, but California doesn't have to do that by itself. It is a federal issue. It's a state issue. It's a federal issue. It's a city of Los Angeles issue. And if California is that rich, which means Los Angeles might be probably 30 to maybe 40% of that part of the country actually contribute to that much income. And within there, maybe Malibu and this other neighborhood. But why we have to always suffer these issues when we can find a simple solution as such? Okay, maybe nobody thought about it before I did, but I'm glad to have done it, and I hope you can share this video so it can just reach the competent authorities with the federal government, the state government, Governor Newsom, I believe that's the name, in California, Governor Newsom, and the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, and this other part of the country, to think, put the think tank, the head together and design this sprinkler system with the water from the Pacific Ocean. And I mentioned Canada earlier. Canada, the top of Canada is kind of, nobody lives there, is full of ice. What is ice? It's water in a solid form, isn't it? By the way, pure water in a solid form, which can be drained down, can be brought down. As it's coming down eventually, with the friction, it's going to melt and define the reservoir throughout different reservoirs throughout the states, California, all the way down to maybe further down to Utah and so on and so forth. That can be done. So by doing so, we can prevent senseless loss of lives that we have come to get accustomed to. And eventually, sooner or later, we won't just think of it as a drama anymore, as a phenomenon anymore, because it's going to be a part of our lives every single day. Listen, fire can happen and either maliciously or as a natural disaster. We know California is sitting on the vaults, San Andreas vaults. So earthquake is likely to happen in California much quicker than it would happen perhaps on the East Coast. So therefore, that can create some kind of electrical shocks that can bring about fire, or even fire sparking from perhaps thunderstorm, or even maliciously, somebody may have just caused the fire, or unintentionally, someone may have caused the fire. Either way, it doesn't matter how the fire was caused or generated, but let's get ready to address the issue of California burning one time and for all. Okay, last time it was in Canada, burning up here, and everybody on the East Coast, all the way down to New York City, where I reside, had the same problem. I think it was 2 years ago over the summer, smoke all over the place. But again, that was the forest that was burning. It might not be easy to control that, but a town, a city, without the boundary of the states, that can be prevented, or at least minimized to a certain extent. A system like today in Japan, in Tokyo, they build the houses according to the constant earthquake to be able to be a little flexible. So allow time for people to evacuate because perhaps the building falls. Because the tsunami over there, they have designed some irrigation system, maybe water running systems that can prevent more tragedy that they have seen before. So when we are prone to certain phenomena, we have to get ready and design infrastructure to counter. We may not be able to counter 100%, but at least we probably can do 50%. Even 30% will be 30% damage that will help maybe lives. Save lives. May God continue to bless us. May the sciences guide us.